Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to be taking you through Twitter sentiment analysis using Python. So, sentiment analysis is a natural process, language processing technique which is used to determine whether data is positive, negative, or neutral. So, I'm going to run quickly through the requirements for this program. When you're doing sentiment analysis, like TJ has highlighted, you need a Twitter account and a developer, which is a developer account which you have to apply for, so that you can create a Twitter application so that you can get API credentials which you use to authenticate to Twitter. So for this program, we have a number of libraries that we have used: Twippy, TextBlob, Pandas, Matplotlib, PyPlot for our visualizations. Then for the API keys, which you're seeing TJ showing you, I've stored them in a CSV file in my local drive, and I've loaded them as a data frame and put them in a variable called log. So it is now from this data frame where I am now accessing my consumer keys, consumer secret, access token, and access token secret, which are stored at these positions within this data frame. I'm not going to show you my access tokens and keys, because these are unique identifiers for each and every account. So once I have accessed all these, I'm going to create an authentication object which will then give us access to Twitter so that we can access data from Twitter. So we are using these methods from Twippy, and so that we can get data. Now at this section here, this is the important part. We are now extracting data from an account called Nelson Chamisa, which we created a variable and stored all those the tweets from what? From an account named Nelson Chamisa, and the count we have set it to 0, and the language English, and the tweet mode is extended. So from this section now, we are now showing only the 5 recent tweets. So I'm going to run this part. Okay, sorry, let me start over from the libraries so that we see if everything is okay there. Yes, then my data frame, then I run on my keys, then my authentication object, then here I'm going to show the last 5 tweets from the account which we have selected, Nelson Chamisa. So now what you see here are the 5 recent tweets, the one which is referenced, which he was retweeting Magaisa's tweet, and the other one which is retweeting Hopo Chimono's tweet. So these tweets, as you see them, they're just coming into what? Into our program. But now we are going to store these tweets in a data frame. So we create a data frame and call it df at this section. So we're going to run this one. Now you see they are nicely created in a what? In a data frame and shown also here. So what we are going to do from here before we start to do any analysis is to clean these tweets so that we can only be left with the text that we want to focus on and remove all the other unnecessary strings there. For example, all these mentions like Gaisa, we don't want all these things like RT for retweets. So we are going to use regex to do this cleanup. So all this part here, we are creating a function called clean text that is removing all this pattern. As you see in all sections, this part is removing mentions, this part is moving the hashtag symbol, and this section is removing the retweets, this section is removing all the hyperlinks. Then we are going to apply now the clean text at this section. Then we show the cleaned text. So you see the difference between this section is like here we have all this unclean data here at this point, but here all the mentions have been removed. Now what you are going to do at the next section, now we are into the sentiment analysis. We are going to create a function that will get the subjectivity or the polarity of every tweet that is coming from Nelson Chamisa's account. So here we are creating a get subjectivity function from the text that will return what? The subjectivity from the what? Or the sentiment from each tweet, and the polarity. So this is what this section is all doing. So if you see here, I've used Markdown to actually describe every section as I was going along getting this program. So at this last part, I'm showing the data frame so that we can see the subjectivity or the polarity of every tweet. Just bear with me, I'm going to run a bit fast because of time, but it takes a bit of time to create all this code, which is more than like an hour. So you see, like here, this Twitter number 1 is showing the subjectivity at what? At almost like 95% with like the polarity there. So the meaning of these, the polarity is a float which lies between -1 to 1, which means it's a positive statement. So if a statement is picked like it's positive, or there is a positive word that is included there, it will have a polarity of almost close to 1. You see, and the subjectivity, this is just like a personal opinion which ranges from 0 to 1. And it actually measures like this, how subjective a tweet is. So from the tweets that we have extracted, we are going to now put some visualizations so that we can actually interact with this and see on a word cloud. This is where we are using the word cloud library to visualize so that we can understand more specific and common words as they appear on our plot. And you see, the more specific and the more common is, the more bigger and bolder the word becomes. So when I run this part, a word cloud is plotted, which shows that from the recent tweets that comes from Nelson Chamisa's account, you can see these are the words that are appearing more common, and they come also in bigger font and also more bolder, which actually gives you more emphasis, like he's talking more of elections and like thanking someone, and he's a politician. So that's why you see political citizens, Zimbabweans, he's always speaking about politics. Now we are going to create a function to compute the negative, the neutral, or the positive analysis. Now when a tweet is like negative, we are going to create a function that will give it a score, or else it will be regarded as neutral, either it's positive. So this is what this get analysis function is doing here. So we are getting this score from this polarity. The polarity is actually the score. So now from this section, we can get another column, because we are creating another column in our data frame. If you were following along, here we have now another column called analysis, which is telling us the first tweet is actually neutral, the second is a positive tweet, the third one is a neutral. So if we are to actually see much better in a visual, or if we are to plot a graph, we are going to plot a graph so that we can actually see these analyses on a graph that will give us more light. Now what are we going to do on this one? We are printing all the positive tweets only. So we are isolating positive tweets on their own, and then we put negative tweets on their own. So from this here, we are going to create here a variable called sorted df, because we want to sort our data frame by what? By polarity. So if our analysis is giving us a positive, then that tweet should be left behind here and then be added to the results. So from the extracted tweets, only 40 out of 100 are positive. Then the same function we apply only for the negative, and we see how many are negative. They are 17. Now we want to create a scatter plot now for the polarity and the subjectivity using the matplotlib library. So this is now the scatter plot, which actually gives you that here the 0 is the neutral part from the sentiments that you are getting. And you see most of the tweets that we are getting, they are lying either at the neutral or at the positive side, which shows that the tweets from this account, they are more positive than as they are negative. As you see, there are just a few tweets in the negative side than the positive side. So what we are going to do, we want to get the percentage for the positive tweets, which we more like get on the top there when we printed the list. Here it's like 40% are what? Are positive, like then the negative